Hello everybody, my name is Ollie. I'm a junior doctor living and working in the northeast of England. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I am going to be bringing you my top 5 tips for new foundation doctors that are due to start working alongside me and other junior doctors like me in August. These are essentially the 5 key tips that I wish I'd had right before I was due to start working as a brand new doctor. And I'm also really excited for this video to have partnered with a brand new channel sponsor, Shortform. This is a great service that allows you to digest the key points from your favorite books in a really efficient and easy to access way. So thank you to Shortform for sponsoring this video, and more on that in a little bit. My very first tip is to be kind to yourself. It's really important, I think, not to underestimate how hard starting FY1 can be. This will to some degree depend on the particular department and the location that you've chosen for your first job as a doctor, but whatever you've chosen, in any case, the cognitive load, the sheer demand of starting work as a new FY1 is huge. Not only are you trying to work out your professional identity as a doctor, working out how to relate to your patients and your colleagues, what your role is, how do you perceive yourself, how do others perceive you, as well as being thrown into the deep end of a brand new job. You have to get used to the computer systems, requests, where everything is. Consultant A likes the juniors to have all of the bloods ready and written out before the ward round. Consultant B forgets that junior doctors have rotated and expects you to know the management of their favourite obscure condition on the first day. Simply starting work is a hugely demanding task, and it can take a good few weeks or even months before you start to feel settled in the job. I'm only really getting to grips with the idea that I'm now a doctor about 9 months into FY1. A discussion with a patient's family member literally yesterday was the first time that it didn't feel weird to say, "Hello, this is Dr. Burton," on the phone. So be kind to yourself, make sure you're eating and sleeping, and rest assured that everyone else is on the same journey as you. Tip number 2 is to ask for help and escalate early. This is one of the most important parts of being a brand new FY1 doctor, because although relatively for our age we are very well trained with usually 5 to 6 years of medical training, we are still potentially dangerous if we miss something or we act overconfidently beyond our scope of practice. It's so crucial to try your best to recognize what you don't know, and the moment that a situation gets a bit hairy or you're unsure of exactly what to do, then that is the right moment to be escalating and calling for help. And I would double down on that actually for patients who look to your eyes more unwell than their early warning scores would indicate. So if somebody, despite having a news score of 2 or 3, looks when you go and see them like death warmed up, or indeed for patients who are currently well but due to the nature of their condition may become unwell very quickly, it is far better to let your registrar know about them early rather than simply waiting for them to decompensate and then suddenly you've got to phone for help with a very sick patient that needs to be seen immediately. It also applies in the practical day-to-day sense too, because you'll come across so many just frustrating NHS hospital bureaucracy things that someone simply needs to tell you how to do. Why won't my blood labels print? Or how do I print the ward round list in the format that the consultant likes it? How do I request a chest x-ray or an angiogram and make sure that it actually happens? There are lots of situations where you will simply be unable to work it out from first principles because logic doesn't apply. It's just how that particular department runs, and it's a quirk that you don't have any control over. So if you're not sure, again, just ask somebody who's worked there for longer than you, and odds are they'll know the answer. Now, my third piece of advice is all about prescriptions. It's very practically focused and potentially a bit controversial, but hear me out. You may, at times, as a new junior doctor, be asked to prescribe things on behalf of other people. For example, you might be on call and going to see a patient on a different ward where you don't normally work, and a nurse might call you and say, "Oh doc, while you're here, my patient in bed 6 is asking for pain relief. Can you prescribe them some paracetamol? My junior doctor isn't responding." Or an alternative scenario that you might have allied health professionals such as advanced practice providers, nurse practitioners, or physician associates working in your department. Or again, other associate professionals such as anaesthetic associates or surgical care practitioners who don't have their own ability to prescribe. And it may be in that circumstance that a senior or they themselves ask you to prescribe something on their behalf. And to be extremely clear, your answer in all of those situations is no, unless you have physically seen and reviewed that patient yourself. Because remember that when you prescribe something or you order a scan or any other intervention, it is your signature and your GMC number that goes on the line. You are a doctor with prescribing powers, and that means that you have an ethical, moral, and legal responsibility to use those prescribing abilities appropriately. And the bottom line is that if something goes wrong, I prescribed it because such and such told me to, is not going to stand up in court, and the GMC isn't going to defend you either. So practically speaking, for example, if we had a ward round and I was then asked to prescribe something on behalf of another member of the team, absolutely yes. Once I've reviewed them, checked them over myself, and I feel that it's still appropriate, then I will prescribe it. And if there's any confusion or worry about that, or that's not an acceptable answer to them, then I would direct them to the senior that they report to. Usually that would be the consultant in charge, who I would respectfully ask prescribes for them. It is absolutely not your responsibility or role as a junior doctor to prescribe on behalf of other people without reviewing patients yourself. Now, I understand that departmental politics and relationships are very important, obviously, to keep things running smoothly, but the patient comes first. Always. So use your abilities responsibly. Now, just to take a break from these heavy topics for a moment, as I'm sure you're aware, medical students and doctors are very short on time. It's one of these things that defines this career that we've chosen. Now, I grew up reading books all the time from a very early age. And unfortunately, all of that had to slow down when I hit medical school, and since I've started working as a doctor, I simply don't have the time that I would like anymore to sit down and read, certainly things that aren't academic papers or textbooks when I'm revising for exams. But this is where our video sponsor Shortform comes in. Shortform is specifically about giving you key condensed summaries of your favorite books so that you can absorb the information in an efficient way that works for you. Shortform has books in a huge range of categories and genres, including health, science, politics, and philosophy. And my favorite feature, the one I appreciate the most as a busy doctor hands down, is the fact that you can study your favorite books at different levels. All of their titles have a 10-minute rapid summary that you can use to get the most important surface level ideas, and then if you find it particularly interesting, you can come back later and go through the full study guide in depth. For the last few weeks, I've been reading the rapid summary of a different book every single day before I go to work. Just this morning I read Shortform's summary of The Emperor of All Maladies, a fantastic book about cancer, and the study guide goes through the biological mechanisms that underpin cancer, as well as some really crucial messages that doctors can remember when we're looking after patients with cancer. Shortform publishes brand new study guides every single week, and subscribers get to vote on which books are covered next. To get 5 days of completely unlimited access to Shortform and see if you like it, as well as a 20% discount on your annual subscription, join Shortform through my special link, which is on screen now, shortform.com/Ollie, or click the link in the description in the comments below. I really hope you enjoy it, guys, and thank you to Shortform for helping me keep my content free. Now, tip number 4 is take your breaks. I need to make a full video about this, but this basically comes down to remembering your rights as an employee. Find out very early on in writing how long a break you are entitled to for each type of shift, whether that's a normal shift, an on-call, a night shift, and make sure you take them. Now, I fully appreciate that this is so often easier said than done, and hands up, I am often bad at it myself. You often get stuck in a vicious cycle of thinking, I'll just do one more task, I'll just go and get these bloods, or I'll just quickly go and do this cannula, or I'll just quickly have a look at this chest x-ray, or I'll wait till it gets quiet and then I'll go for my break. Newsflash, guys, it never gets quiet. So for any tasks you have that remain outstanding, I think you need to honestly ask yourself, if I don't do these tasks in the next 20 to 30 minutes, is the patient going to come to harm? And for the overwhelming majority of tasks, that won't be the case. But the thing I would urge you to remember, guys, is that A, nobody can take your breaks for you. That is your responsibility as an employee to do so. And B, you are very, very lucky if you have a senior on shift that is thinking about you and looking out for you and asking if you've taken your breaks. You cannot make decisions well if you start to flag and you get tired. So you owe it not just to yourself, but to your patients and the other staff you work with to make sure that you are on form and capable of working. And that relies on having proper rest while you're at work. And then tip number 5, keeping it practical again, is start your portfolio early. Your portfolio is one of the most important things to keep in mind as you move through your FY1 year, because it's this that forms the basis of your ARCP, your annual review of competency and progression, or in simpler terms, the thing that allows you to graduate, if you like, from FY1 and move into FY2 and become an SHO. You don't automatically get to progress at any point in your training. There is still stuff to do. Now, most of us had a portfolio at medical school where you had to complete supervised learning events, things like mini KEXs, CBDs, DOPs, or procedural sign-offs. All of this continues, and it's basically exactly the same thing. The difference is that now you, as a trainee, have a responsibility to map your learning experiences against the foundation program curriculum, and you have to show that you are meeting what is expected of you. I'm sure you can tell, it's all about you and taking responsibility for your own learning. And there are 13 of these key curriculum objectives that you have to map evidence to over the course of the year. These include things like showing that you are capable of assessing and managing an acutely unwell patient, as well as things like being a valuable member of the workforce, participating in teaching medical students and other staff members, and contributing to quality improvement through things like QIPs, quality improvement projects, and audits. This also means regular meetings with your educational and clinical supervisors, the senior doctors who are responsible for your development as a trainee. And lastly, you are also required to meet a minimum of 60 hours of structured learning across your FY1 year. This might be anything from weekly FY1 teaching that everyone in the year goes to departmental teaching that happens just on your ward, to attending courses, conferences, doing e-learning, or attending webinars from groups like Medisense and Mind the Bleep. Again, in short, you have to take ownership of your own learning. And virtually all of us doctors, I would think, love to learn. It's why we entered this profession. So make sure that you're recording it and make sure that none of your effort is wasted, and that way everything will be recognised and you'll proceed on time. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Please be sure to hit that like button for me, leave a comment, subscribe. Can't wait to hear from you down in the comments, and thank you once again to Shortform for sponsoring the content on this channel and helping me keep all of the videos free for everyone watching at home. Take care, and I'll see you next time.